Hello and welcome to the show. This week's FailRace versus the community, we would go racing with some C-Class Rallyfighters. Now there was a certain expectation that these might be a little bit of a chaotic race with such large vehicles tackling the circuits. However, turn 1 went relatively well. One vehicle got a wheel on the outside curb, got spat into the sand trap, but everyone else made it through quite neatly. There's a very, very sideways rally fighter out of turn 2, and then there was plenty of 2 and sometimes even 3 wide going down towards this turn 3 corner. Another vehicle would end up in trouble. The car we're following had a rally fighter alongside, tried to go around the outside. The green vehicle, though, left it a little too late on the brakes. He would go skating off of the track. I was trying to cut back to the inside with my car, managed to get alongside and had just a little bit more acceleration as we come down this back straight. Car behind gets an awful lot of speed down here. He's to the inside. A vehicle up ahead, wheel on the dirt, is going to drag him out wide as we all avoid him, as another blue car is running it out wide. The vehicle we're following is getting swamped, and this is one of the things that we have seen before, especially in quite evenly matched vehicles. You get out of position for one corner and then just a whole train of cars wants to come past. It is a surprisingly easy thing to have happen to you. And certainly these opening laps were very busy. Wasn't the chaos that we expected with the cars bumping into each other and so on. It was just fantastic racing with a lot of overtakes and a lot of vehicles going too wide. This black and white rally fighter tried to make it around the outside of turn 2, made it stick. It's a fantastic move to keep your car, or your truck really, around the outside there. You'll get to the inside of turn 3. He makes the move stick. The black rally fighter, though, is looking for a way back into it, around the outside into the next turn. He backs out of it. Everybody's running a little bit wide through this corner. The white car's got the best run of the lot of them to the inside as we now head down the back straight. It was a lot better racing with these than I kind of feared. We could have had a little bit of silliness and so on with these cars. They actually were producing some fantastically close racing. And while, the cars were built C-Class, they start off at the top of D-Class, there was sort of little room for slightly different builds. Most cars going for the handling options. There were a few very fast straight-line speed cars. We were seeing quite a few mistakes here and there. It was a very easy thing to do. I wasn't driving particularly well either with my car. I was at the back of this huge train of vehicles. There were a large group of cars racing. It was a lot of fun, I've got to say, even with me making some stupid mistakes around the place. It was an awful lot of fun. This was the battle for second place. The white rally fighter runs a little too wide. Again, just a wheel on the dirt is going to cause so many issues for this car. He runs wide. It gives the other vehicle an opportunity, but then he runs wide into the next corner with again just another couple of wheels on the dirt. Not a good thing that you want to be doing. It would only be a matter of time until second changed hands, but the actual racing itself, once things calmed down a bit, was really, really good. But we did see a lot of instances of cars just sort of sticking 1 or 2 wheels out a bit too wide. It was very easy to make slight mistakes with these cars. The white rally fighter here going for another outside pass at turn 2. We saw a few of these. It doesn't come off very, very often, but with these it was working really rather well. I tried to follow him through on the inside. Unfortunately, the orange and blue car got a twitch coming across the curb, knocked into me. But these cars, pretty sturdy vehicles. They'll take the odd knock or two. It won't cause them too many problems, despite me me getting knocked onto the grass a bit, kept my foot down, and I was through at the next corner as well. This vehicle trying to recover from a poor start very, very fast in a straight line, this particular car, and maybe not quite so good through the turns, but could make up some sizable time as we head now towards the back straight. Vehicle ahead getting a big slide. These were certainly cars that you had to do a bit of tuning work on the suspension. If you left them standard, they were awfully wallowy to drive, so you did have to do a little bit of tuning work. Most of the cars, you can visibly see most of the cars were lowered, were running stiff suspension. There was a slight odd replay glitch you may have noticed with some cars looking like one of the rear wheels is sort of picked up into the rear arch. Ignore that, that's just a dodgy replay. There were plenty of very slidey rally fighters though around the track. While the midfield battles were great fun, the leader had a much much duller race. Started on pole, or certainly started at the front and vanished away. I had the car, there were a couple of us as well that were going very, very quickly. We had the cars, we had the speed to challenge, but through mistakes and just being stuck in traffic, there was nothing we could do about it. His vehicle got to the front and didn't make any silly mistakes, would take a relatively comfortable lead, or relatively comfortable victory and margin of victory at that, while the rest of us were very much squabbling over just about every position. As I said, I made far too many stupid mistakes running wide and generally doing silly stuff, so I was a fair way down the order. I was not giving up, though, on this final lap. I think it was about for a 6th, 7th place, as I went for the inside at the final corner, as I try my best to get this position. It's absolutely neck and neck coming out of the final turn, and yeah, across the line, it was a very, very close run thing. The photo finish, well, I got it by 9,000ths of a second. That was the difference between us two. I got a very slightly better run out of the final corner. Managed to make the most of it. It was not by much, though. Not by much at all with these cars. Perhaps not quite as close as the Corvette and the Aston Martin from the last video, but yeah, that was a close run finish. Our second race would go to the Sebring circuit. Going to the full circuit, tend not to use the full circuit too often in versus the communities and so on. I personally much prefer the shorter laps. So, you know, the laps that kind of take a minute and a half, as opposed to these much longer circuits. But thought I'd have a go with these Rallyfighters, these being sort of much larger cars, needing that little bit more space. Figured this would be a good place to take them. And while there was some shenanigans at turn 1, the yellow Rallyfighter we were following made the most of it, had a relatively low grid spot, but kind of saw the opportunities to dive up the inside of, well, just about everybody down towards turn 2. Made up a huge number of places, then proceeded to go around the outside of one of the black Rallyfighters. A fantastically good opportunistic start, and that's sometimes what you need with these races. I'd started towards the front of this race and kind of made no ground. This guy had come from well down there, made a huge number of positions in a couple of corners. I was then having a go up the inside of a blue Rallyfighter, and one thing that we were seeing here is that there were plenty of occasions, especially when you're in groups, that when one car makes a move, everybody follows him through. We were seeing that especially with these vehicles, them being a little bit more difficult to drive. They're a little bit more awkward through the turns. The yellow car couldn't quite make the most of the immediate advantage, but at the next corner, he would get the vehicle up the inside, get it stopped, and the blue car would just run out of road. Again, one wheel on the dirt, causing a little bit of problems for him. The best of the action in this race was indeed further back. A couple of cars squabbling up ahead. This red Rallyfighter spots his opportunity. Again, some more opportunistic driving. Cars slow off the turn. They would out-accelerate two vehicles to make up the positions. Thinks about having a go at the inside, just about gets his car there. There being the slightest of bumps between them. I do love the way that these vehicles, even with a lot of them having lowered and sort of stiffened and race suspension, I do love the way that they dive under braking. Not quite up with the Stadium Super Trucks, but probably about the closest thing we're really going to see on Forza 6. As we come onto the straight, the red vehicle here running a little bit too wide, but was a lot quicker onto this section than the vehicle up ahead, and would simply out-drag the car that he was racing down the back straight. And it is a long straight we've got here, as a blue Rallyfighter was making progress. And these two will have by far the most exciting battle of the race. I'll be honest, this wasn't the greatest race that we've had. After I had such a good, fantastically fun Brands Hatch round, this one just got spread out really very quickly. These two, though, were going at it over, I think it's around 7th place as we run into the first corner. Blue car going the long way round. It is quite a long way round. Turn 1 as well. The red vehicle, they gave each other a huge amount of space. I don't think I've seen two cars give each other as much space as that through the first corner. The red vehicle tries to fight it on the inside, was perhaps a little early on the brakes, got too much curb and too much grass, was a little slow, allowing the blue vehicle to find a way past. But these two would never really be that far separated throughout the course of the race. There were a few vehicles that were trying to make progress through the field. This purple Rallyfighter was one of them, but yeah, as I said at the start, it was a lot of the time the field was pretty spread out throughout this one. I don't know whether it's the cars or track combination or just, you know, a bit of bad luck. It can happen with motorsport. You can get races like this. The purple truck here spotted an opportunity with 2 cars up ahead, having a little bit of a fight. The vehicle further up ahead was slow as well. Get 3 of them on the run down. There was just about a Rally Fighters width of space there. He made the most of it to get 3 cars with 1 good run off of a turn. Always helpful. Again, with these opportunistic passes, always helpful when you can get that many cars in one particular maneuver, and then you can go off and give chase to the vehicles up ahead. I would love to say that the fighting at the front was good, but we were all setting very similar lap times. We were all about 150 foot apart from each other. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. We could all kind of see the car ahead, and we couldn't do anything about it. The leader was a fair bit quicker than us. He had got a car slightly better suited to this track and was just driving away. And we couldn't do anything about one another. Had our 3 vehicles ended up all in close proximity to one another, there could have been a fantastic battle, but none of us could make ground on the others. You know, one lap I might catch 50 foot to the car ahead, or the next lap I might lose 50 foot to the vehicle behind, but it all kind of evened itself out, and we just ended up following each other around for the majority of or for pretty much all of the race. This purple fighter was, as I said, making progress, but as the race progressed, it was harder and harder to make progress because just the gaps between cars was so large around this track. Both of these cars sliding their way through the first corner. Up towards turn 2, though, a big dive from the purple truck, and you can see how bigger a dive from the way the cars react, but it was a great move. Timed it perfectly to get the vehicle stopped, blocked the inside. The black car tried his best to fight back, but didn't quite have the answer, and then a very big slide through the next turn would screw up his run down the next straight. As I said, at the front, the leader was pulling away from us lap after lap. We had no answer to this particular car. It was far too fast for us to do very much, and while my vehicle was great through the turns, it lacked a little bit of straight line speed. Sadly, at the front, it was a relatively dull race. After probably the first lap or so, we sat in these positions and nothing really changed between us. Unfortunately, that is just the way that it can go sometimes with racing. As I said, these 2 vehicles remained close the entire race, and as we came on to the final lap, they were gradually catching the vehicle ahead. They ran out of laps to do anything about the light blue truck. However, the dark blue vehicle ran a little too wide out of the final turn. It's very easy to do that here at Sebring, that would gift the position to the red truck. Yeah, the bumps around that final turn could cause no end of problems to these particular cars. Our final race would go to the Sonoma Short Circuit. Now, this is quite a scary track to take these vehicles, because there is a lot of high-speed changes of direction and quite a lot of sort of elevation changes, quite a lot of bumps and so on. And while, yeah, you know, the race suspension, the stiffened suspension, lowered suspension was better on them, there's still always fears with this kind of vehicle when you go to really attack these corners. I've got to say, they were actually pretty damn good. They were pretty damn good at dealing with all of this. It was a very busy opening lap here. Lots of trucks try to fit into, well, very small spaces. Some contact was made between the vehicles. Unfortunately, one silver truck ending up getting turned around in the mix of that. I was coming under fire from just about every which direction. In this midfield, everybody was trying to overtake everybody. It was complete and utter chaos. I did have a very quick truck once again at this circuit. I was keen to try and make progress. I try to go around the outside of a yellow fighter. It probably would have worked. He got some understeer mid-corner. Both our vehicles got connected and neither of us could steer out of it, meaning, well, we had to go for some serious off-roading. Thankfully, these things can do that quite nicely. I managed to rejoin in the middle of this huge battle. I'm stuck on the outside around this. It's a very fast turn through that section. It's a lovely corner when you're in a lightweight sports car. In these, it's a bloody terrifying corner, but we make it through okay. There's a bit of a shenanigans going on at the hairpin. I just elect to run wide into the hairpin. There were so many cars. I think we were 3 wide at one point. I was happy to sit out wide just in an attempt to survive. I do get a fairly good run over the corner to fight my way past a black rally fighter. It was an incredibly hectic opening lap. Towards the front, it was already becoming more spread out, and much as we had seen at Brands Hatch, there was quite a lot of incidents of people not quite getting the car slow down, just running that little bit wide, putting wheels on the grass here and there. Again, that corner is quite a common one to see vehicles run wide anyway, but yeah, especially with these, we were seeing very similar scenes to what we had seen at Brands Hatch, with just little mistakes creeping in a lot more than perhaps we would normally. Unlike at Sebring, where everybody spread out, the midfield was bonkers in this race. Much more like Brands Hatch this time, which is a good thing. I was hoping that these might produce some great racing, and certainly in the midfield it was really rather busy. This purple Rallyfighter was making some great moves under braking. It's a really tough corner to judge the braking right to get an overtake done cleanly down there, but again, he gets it right. Runs a little bit too wide through the next corner, although you can get away with having quite a quick run off the turn if you do that. Up ahead, they're almost going too wide through the S's. You can see the car with the untuned suspension as it bounces and wallows its way through the turns. I'd imagine that'd be quite a scary vehicle to drive. I would not want to be driving that around here, not with these high-speed turns. You see it picking up its front wheel is all sorts out of shape down there. Has to have a little lift and probably a big brake, in fact, through there as the cars come piling past. Yeah, that's probably not the thing that you want to be having. As I said, my car was very, very good here, and I was making progress through the field after a slightly dodgy start. As the cars ahead just tangled ever so slightly, I go for a huge dive. I get 3 cars in one braking zone. Probably one of the best overtakes I've done for quite a while on Forza 6. It was a great dive from quite a long way back. I then go to the outside of the blue car that was struggling for sort of traction off of the turn and brush the wall. Unfortunately, that little brush, it was not a big brush on the wall whatsoever. However, it was enough to completely and utterly break the front right-hand side of my car. The steering, the brakes, the suspension were all ruined on my vehicle, and thus there went my race, really. It was a shame. I had a great car. I'd just done a fantastic overtake, and I pushed my luck a little too much around the outside of a vehicle I probably shouldn't have, and that killed my vehicle. The steering was gone, the brakes didn't work so much, and yeah, while I carried on fighting as best I could, it sort of ruined the handling of my vehicle. It was a shame, because again, I was having a good time with this race, but yeah, a little unlucky with that one. Further back, and the fight was continuing with this group of vehicles as we run around the hairpin. The hairpin, probably one of the best overtaking spots you're going to get on this track. One of the main overtaking spot you're going to get on this track. Sonoma can be quite a difficult one to get passes done. The dark blue car here was slow out of the hairpin, slow round the final corner. This white car thought about going up the inside. Changed his mind in the end when he realised the gap was quickly vanishing, and that little lift cost him, as the car behind would have a crack up the inside, and the black car would go alongside the blue vehicle. Runs out of space though towards the next corner there, crisscrossing sides of the road. He does get the move done around the outside at the top of the hill. That is a great move to pull off. The white and green car we're following here was now coming under pressure from a Martini liveried car. There's another very sideways. There were so many very sideways rally fighters throughout the course of this race. The blue vehicle up ahead is wanting to get his position back. He can't quite do it. Everyone's covering the inside. The Martini car's having a go at the inside, but not quite going to manage anything here. Now we're going to go side by side towards the S's. Never a good thing, let alone in rally fighters. People take some avoiding action across the grass. Probably a wise idea in all of that. And again, some more rallycross from both of the vehicles. They all survive though, which is yeah, pretty damn good going. Once more, the purple rally fighter was showing us how to outbrake vehicles, this time into the final hairpin. Another lovely outbraking manoeuvre on the white and green car. Gets it stopped sort of perfectly on the apex, so he can't manage a cutback there. The hairpin was a fantastic overtaking opportunity, with so much of this track being high and medium speed corners, and these are vehicles that, you know, while they weren't as bad to drive as you might fear, or a lot of them weren't as bad to drive as you might fear, you don't really want to be trying anything too wide through the high speed sections. Ignore the slightly lagged out car in the replay there. So yeah, the hairpin was the seed of most of the overtakes, and that was a fantastic outbraking moment. The vehicle up ahead was really struggling with some oversteer, wiggling his way through the uphill S's there. The purple car would get past with a simply so much better run down towards the next corner, and it wouldn't be long before the rest of them were lining up to find ways past, even if the blue car did have a little go back at the next turn. While the mid-pack was having a fantastic race, it was a lot of fun In the mid-pack at the front, it was, once again, a little bit more spread out. This blue Rally Fighter started towards the front, got to the lead early on, and once again drove away from the rest of the field. You see second and third coming around the hairpin there. They did close up towards the end of the race. Third never really had enough time to do anything about making a pass. So yeah, at the front it was a relatively quiet and a relatively spread out race, but yeah, further back that was not the case. I was trying my very best with a rather poorly Rally Fighter to fend off my position. I think I was slipping down out of the top 10, and I was determined not to lose any more positions on this final lap, coming under fire from the purple Rally Fighter. I was actually trying to find a way past the yellow car as well. I had a couple of good runs. In the background, the black car makes a last lap maneuver on the vehicle he was racing with. I just about managed to fend off the purple car into the hairpin. We all get a quick run on the vehicle ahead after he tagged the outside wall slightly on that last lap. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed with my final race. I had a great car. I'd love to have seen how it would have competed with the front runners for pace had I not managed to break the vehicle. I have to say, these Rally Fighters were a lot of fun to go racing with. They drove a lot better than I kind of feared. I feared they might be awful and really difficult to drive, and it might just become into a bit of a bumping fest. But you know, there was the odd bump here and there. They actually were really rather good fun. Sebring was a bit unfortunate. Maybe it was just the combination of the car and the track just didn't quite work. Whatever it was, they got spread out very, very easily. Then the other two races, though, were rather good fun. So yeah, there wasn't quite as much chaos as we expected, which is a surprise when you go racing with Rally Fighters. Anyway, that is it for this video. The next FailRace versus the Community shall be held on Thursday, the 24th of March. We are going to go racing with B-Class 70s cars. If you would like to sign up and take part in that event, then you can via our forums. There will be a link in the description. Find the FailRace versus the Community section, and you will be able to sign up in there. But that is it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.